Aswan. Far from the chaos of Cairo, life here is more laid back. Once Egypt's southern border, it sits at the first cataract of the Nile. Here, both feluccas and time sail by.
Let travel surprise you. Let moments excite you. Let me try to guide you along the way. There's a world out there waiting. Sights that need gazing. Food that needs tasting. And laughs in between. Oh, wherever I go, whatever I see, all that I know is you're coming with me. You won't forget it. You know the best is yet to come. Be it land or sea, trust Tyler Travels TV.
Morning. We actually got a full night's sleep.
Unbelievably needed.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So we're heading down to breakfast here on the ship.
Look at this. Fresh honey. Literally coming, it's dripping down. I've never seen it before in my life. That is next level. Oh my gosh. Look at this spread. Yeah, yogurt, but it's got to be obviously in fancy containers. Oh my goodness, it just keeps going. More over here. And there's a station over there that makes fresh omelets and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Alrighty, so we're back in our room. So I feel like it's been a whirlwind for sure. Things slow down a bit. Like last night we finally got in, and you guys know because Tyler vlogged, he was at the restaurant, I stayed in. Best decision I ever made. I ended up eating like a banana and just some crackers and just kind of like leveling things out. You eat a lot of food that is different than what you're used to eating, and I feel like anytime you travel, especially to a place that eats very differently than you do from home, it just wreaks havoc on your system. And there are certain things you do, like never ever drinking the water from the place, like always bottled water. They provide you with so much bottled water. Everyone in Egypt reminds you of that. You go to a restaurant, everyone is drinking bottled water. Like it is just the way it is done. But even down to like brushing your teeth with a bottled water, like they provide you with one in the bathroom for that purpose. So my point is, I think at this point in the trip, most people are like not feeling 100%, but you know, we all brought different kinds of medicine. So I definitely recommend. But I think, you know, all's okay. We're going to go to a temple today. Two temples. And we're going to go on a Felucca. I was going to say a Felucca ride. That sounds wrong. Like, because it's a type of boat.
Felucca, yeah. So it's a traditional Egyptian boat with the big white sails. It's I'll put some video of it over this because they're everywhere along the Nile. We've seen tons of them and they're beautiful. But we're actually getting to ride one today.
Yes. So we had that breakfast. We all kind of ate light, but it was a good spread, like a buffet, and they had a lot of like more American things too, which was nice. Like they had cereal and milk, and I was like, that's probably a good idea. But we both ended up having some yogurt and I think croissants.
Yeah,
because that was about all I could mentally like deal with. But had some good coffee, and yeah, so we're about to go in 10 minutes. We're meeting in the lobby that's right there. Oh, by the way, I don't think I vlogged about it last night. Last night I was FaceTiming with Genevieve, and I think Felicity was asleep, and my sister who was watching them at that moment. And you could hear, because right next to the lobby, they were playing that music you guys saw
when we first got
on the ship. They were playing it some more from like 7:30 to 8:30, and it was so loud because it's literally on the other side of that wall. And all I'm thinking is like, oh no, like how late will they be doing this? They stopped at 8:30, so I think we were good. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh gosh, like we may be in the worst room on the ship. But
yeah, we are right off the
I mean, like literally, we opened the door and everyone in the lobby can see us. Like, anyway, but it was cool to hear. Like I was just chilling in here, and I was like, well, certainly getting the vibes. So that's all. I just wanted to like take a moment to get you guys up to speed. It can be hard to vlog when we're in the heat of a lot of these moments, because there's just so much going on and we're moving from place to place. And obviously yesterday was absolutely exhausting.
Also, I feel like I filmed a lot of what we've eaten. Like I've talked about what we eat, but we haven't been filming ourselves saying like, oh, it's good or not, because a lot of times we're at a group or at a table with other people in our group, and it's kind of awkward.
It feels awkward. Most people are like totally cool about it, but you know, we don't.
Anyway, my whole point is pretty much everything we've had though has been delicious.
Yes.
Last night you weren't there, but they had moussaka.
Now that when I read that you had moussaka, I was like, no, I love moussaka.
Good. That was like the best thing I've had this whole trip so far.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say we do eat a lot of this kind of stuff at home. A lot of the
we do like. Well, I mean, hummus. They have like tahini that's just like liquefied deliciousness. Because at home you put tahini in hummus, and I'm sure they put some tahini in hummus here too. But they just have tahini dip,
and it's really good.
Which is my favorite thing. Baba ganoush is so good. Lots of dips, lots of Egyptian bread that's similar to like naan or pita. Yeah, slightly different, but similar.
I keep asking our guide, what's the? Because he's like, it's like naan, but it's not. And he said, it's Egyptian bread, and he keeps saying it, and I keep forgetting what it is. I'll have to ask him again.
Yeah, we have asked him numerous times.
And then, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, we've done kebabs a couple times like that, which basically they're just chicken and beef and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and we've had shish tawuk a few times. We've had it's a lot of the same things, but just different variations. A lot of the same spices and flavors. So when you've had the same, it'd be like eating at home. This is a very rudimentary way to put this, but like if you were to have pasta every single night at home, or like burgers every single night, you get so tired of it. So I'm definitely getting to that point where I'm like, I just want something slightly different. But that would be true anywhere you go. So not complaining. Please don't take it as complaining.
I would bet today we're doing lunch on the ship. I bet they'll have a lot of stuff that maybe you'll eat.
I think so too. Because I mean, the other reality is like, I can't imagine going on a trip like this. If you were a super picky eater, it would be very tricky to go to countries where they eat very differently. I mean, that's probably really obvious, but don't you think that would be hard?
Although I'm sure Adventures by Disney would probably accommodate you if you needed to. There's a lot of people that have certain...
Do you have an allergy? No, I'm just really picky.
No, but I feel like they probably would find stuff for you that you...
They probably would. Anyway, so that's the update. We need to get our little outfit shots for we're hoping to do like Instagram reels or stories of what we wore in Egypt. So we've been trying to get that every day, and we, so far, knock on wood, haven't missed a day. So we got to do that. We got to go.
Aswan has been a major city in Egypt dating back for thousands of years. Originally, this marked Egypt's southern border, making it a hub for trade with Nubia and Africa. It was also a strategic military base, a jumping-off point for war with, well, Nubia in Africa. Aswan is situated right at the first cataract of the Nile. And one thing that makes this area really interesting is there's all these small little islands in the Nile, most notably the Elephantine Island, which is a very famous island there, and then the island that we're going to today, where you'll find the Temple of Philae.
This is the little jungle cruise we're getting on. Not really jungle, obviously, but they keep making Disney jokes naturally. I think this is our very first Mickey sighting of the entire trip.
With the temple on its own island in the middle of the Nile, the only way to get there is on a boat. So we board a small vessel and we're off.
All right, we're on our very own little jungle cruise. Tyler, you look very jungly.
But for real.
Yeah, it's cool.
Temple of Philae behind us. That's what we're headed to.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. One of my favorite things about this temple is that when it used to be that the river would rise before the dam, and they literally, people who would be here before that have talked about how they used to like canoe or they would ride boats through this temple when the water was really high, and I think that is so cool.
That's very cool.
The Temple of Isis is better known as the Temple of Philae because of the island that it used to sit on, but it has some of the most fascinating history of all the temples in Egypt. This island is home to several temples, but the largest is the temple dedicated to the goddess Isis. A large courtyard surrounded by columns marks the entrance. These columns were Roman built, and while the east colonnade is complete with hieroglyphics, the west colonnade remains unfinished, with columns devoid of symbols or ornaments. Most of this temple was built relatively recently by Egyptian standards, around 300 to 250 BCE, beginning during the reign of Ptolemy II. Construction stretched into the early Roman period, which means you'll find aspects of both Egyptian and Greco-Roman architecture. This grand Temple of Isis remained a pilgrimage site and a place of worship for the cult of Isis long into the beginnings of Christianity. As the Roman Empire embraced Christianity and Constantine outlawed pagan religions, this temple sat just far enough away from the rule of Rome that Isis, goddess of healing, fertility, magic, and death, continued to be worshipped here as late as 550 CE. Throughout the following centuries, however, Christians took over the temple and carefully defaced many of the Egyptian reliefs. This temple also holds another secret. It was here that the last hieroglyphics ever were inscribed, according to legend, on August 24th, 394 CE. And it wasn't long after that that the language was thought to be lost forever. It would be 1,400 years before the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, and the system of writing was once again unlocked. Perhaps one of the most recognizable structures on the island is the Kiosk of Trajan, an unfinished open-air temple that was the subject of many Victorian-era paintings.
Okay, bought a map, which is actually, it's like touristy but cool. We bought it on the boat, but it like lays out the entire Nile, and she was saying it was just updated, so it's got like all the different sites and where they are. But look how beautiful this is. Definitely like Greek influence type stuff. I mean, obviously with everything, there's a whole story, but this is just a gorgeous morning. And it is just so pretty here. Are you tired of us saying everything's so pretty? All I need a thesaurus. Gorgeous, brilliant. Okay, we're in this little market here, and I'm like an ice cold Coke sounds so good, but they have cold coffee. I don't want it right now, but I've been craving like iced coffee for so long. We are gonna do a Coke. Now this Coke is slapping. Best Coke I've ever had.
Just like Abu Simbel to the south, the Temple of Philae was at risk of being lost forever with the building of the Aswan High Dam, so it was moved, stone by stone, 20 meters higher from the island of Philae to a new island called Agilkia in the 1970s. Prior to being moved for 6 months out of every year, the temple was partially submerged underwater. That means when people would visit, they would take a rowboat through the towering columns. The black high water marks are still visible today on the temple itself and the surrounding islands. So we took that boat to a bus, and that bus took us to another boat, and this boat was the traditional Egyptian Felucca. And we boarded the Felucca at the Old Cataract Hotel. So we're back at the Old Cataract Hotel. We didn't know we were coming back, but it's just as beautiful during the day.
Well, and I didn't get to see it last night, so this is really cool.
So at night, all these trees were lit up. It was gorgeous.
Beautiful during the day.
I don't know if I actually talked about it, but this room here is the 1902 room, which I got a little bit of footage of last night. But above it, so there's that one, or maybe it's the one over there. This Agatha Christie's room, the room where she was sitting, or where she wrote Death on the Nile. Gosh, so cool.
That is so neat.
So we were just here last night, and I walked outside and I'm like, gosh, this place looks so familiar, and I couldn't place how I knew it. So I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I saw it somewhere, I don't know. So we get there the next day and we walk outside and it's daylight, and I'm like, I know exactly how I know this place. It's the cover picture on one of my guidebooks. Aswan could not be more different from Cairo. Where Cairo is pandemonium, Aswan is calm and serene. And perhaps the best way to experience it is from the water. Here, the Nile moves at a languid pace, sliding past rocky islands, slowly making its way north. So we're pushing off, and out of nowhere, these boys come up, ages, 8 to 12, give or take, and they start to sing. They sing a couple quick songs in exchange for a little cash from the tourists, and then they're on their way. This is their playground, a place to hang out and have fun, just as yours may have been a cul-de-sac or a local park. Theirs is the Nile. When the Aswan High Dam was built and Lake Nasser was created, all of the Nile crocodiles were relocated to Lake Nasser. So there's no longer crocodiles in the actual Nile itself. So these kids are a few modern-day Nile crocodiles. We sail for about an hour with nothing to do but relax and enjoy. The warm wind blows, catching the sails of the feluccas, brushing past our faces and pushing us along our way. We just got back to our room on the MS Tamar, right? Tamr.
T-A-M-R.
And they said it was a flower, and they make a drink out of it as well, and it smells really good.
Every
But
time
anyway-
they said it, I thought they were saying tamarind. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
tamarind,
yeah.
okay.
But I just going to show this really fast because I'm like, this is next level. Because a lot of times you see the towel shapes and all that kind of stuff. But look at this. They even put like rose petals around it. Not
That's
rose
really
petals,
pretty.
but whatever those are.
I think it might be from these flowers over here. That's cool.
That is next level.
We have a few hours on board and we sit and relax and slowly drift towards our next stop, which is the Temple of Kom Ombo. The Temple of Kom Ombo is a little bit unique in Egypt in the fact that it's actually dedicated to two gods. It's split right down the middle, and on one side is the god Horus, which is also known as Horus the Elder, and on the other side is the local crocodile god named Sobek.
With its location right along the bend in the Nile, Kom Ombo has a stately presence. And witnessing it just as the sun goes down, casting it in hues of red and amber, is spectacular. Kom Ombo is a stop on many river cruise itineraries, so it's typically pretty crowded, but still worth seeing. Columns in the forecourt still retain some of their color, reminding us that these temples, brown and faded now, were once rich and alive, with saturated colors. The temple splits right down the middle, with two gods mirrored on either side. On Sobek's side, you'll find depictions of crocodiles or crocodile-headed men, and on the other, you'll find more typical scenes of the god Horus, portrayed with the head of a falcon.
All right, so it's evening time. It's really cool. It's really cool. We got to see it. The sun was setting, and then we got to see them flip the lights on, which was neat. But yeah, we're learning a little bit more, and we were able to walk here from where our boat is down that way, which is really neat.
At night, the entire complex is lit up, casting shadows, providing depth to the inscriptions, and lending the place an air of majesty. Right next to the temple is a large well about 50 feet deep that is connected to several channels where the cult of Sobek likely raised young crocodiles. Which brings us here, the small but interesting Crocodile Museum. Here, 40 mummified crocs are on display, the largest of which is nearly 15 feet long.
Got some mummified crocodiles here. Absolutely fascinating. It's cool to think that these are so old. Like, wow.
Part of me, looking at these crocodiles, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think these things even look real. I don't know. Maybe I'm in denial. So, here's the human side of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Backing up all the footage. I do this every night, but I'm literally... I back up all the footage because I have a couple different cameras and our phones and all that. Back it up every night so that way if one of them gets lost or broken or whatever, we still have all of our footage backed up. Anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. And then here in just a few minutes, we're going to go down to dinner, and then we have a little party tonight. So it's going to be raucous. Party starts at 9. I hope to be in bed by 9:30.
I do too. I was like, show our face
Yeah.
and go to
Take a
bed.
picture with someone to prove that I was there,
Jim from The Office style.
and then go right to bed. But the nice thing is tomorrow, we don't have anything on the schedule until 2 p.m. So we can sleep in, we can relax around the ship, we can go to the deck and read or relax, whatever. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I am so glad that I just happened to keep rolling because I caught what happened next all on camera.
Good morning! Hello, how are you?
I don't want it. No, don't throw it. No.
Oh, bravo, no, open for your wife. Open.
This was one of my favorite days because we spent almost the entire day just drifting along the Nile. It's often described as the world's largest outdoor museum because this place packs a punch when it comes to historical sites.
Sugar, or they use the sugar as a natural glue to stick the slices together. And that's the reason the papyrus paper lasts forever.
The Temple of Luxor, completely by myself. I feel like I'm here like completely alone. This is just wild. I think is the craziest thing about all of these tombs is that this was never meant to be seen by other people.